Ask a British person where SPAR comes from, and they'll likely tell you it's as British as fish and chips. The red, white, and green logo hanging over 2,500 shops across the UK feels like a sign of local ownership because, in many ways, it is. Yet, this familiarity masks the reality of a massive, decentralized empire born in the Netherlands nearly a century ago. SPAR operates as a retail paradox. It's a global behemoth with 13,900 stores in 48 countries, yet the central organization owns almost nothing. It survives economic crashes, the death of the HighStreet, and the rise of supermarket giants like Tesco by integrating itself so deeply into local communities that it becomes invisible. Most people walk into a SPAR without realizing they're stepping into one of the most sophisticated business experiments in history. The story begins in the Netherlands during the Great Depression. By 1932, independent grocers faced an existential threat from rising corporate supermarket chains. These large corporations used their massive buying power to undercut prices, driving small family-run shops out of business. Adrian van Wel, a Dutch wholesaler based in Zoetermeer, recognized that a single independent shopkeeper stood no chance against a corporate giant. Lacking the capital to buy in bulk or the budget for marketing, these small businesses were vulnerable. Van Wel proposed a solution based on cooperation. If independent grocers banded together, they could pool their buying power to negotiate with suppliers as a single entity while retaining their independence as shop owners. He gathered 16 grocers to form a cooperative called de SPAR. The name serves as an acronym for a Dutch phrase which translates to "all benefit from joint cooperation regularly." The concept arrived in the UK in 1956, licensed from the Netherlands. The British shopping landscape of the 1950s was archaic, dominated by counter-service stores where customers waited in line for a grocer to weigh out butter and cheese. The self-service supermarket was a radical American invention that was only just beginning to appear. Corporate giants like Tesco, founded by Jack Cohen, began aggressively expanding with "pile 'em high, sell 'em cheap" tactics. The independent British grocer faced a simple choice: join a collective or risk bankruptcy. SPAR offered a lifeline. By joining the SPAR Guild, independent shopkeepers could access wholesale discounts and marketing support that leveled the playing field against Tesco. The model spread rapidly. Over time, SPAR UK had launched its own brand range. By the 1970s, the brand had infiltrated almost every village and town in the country. However, unlike centralized corporations run from headquarters in London, SPAR UK was built on a federated structure. The organization in the UK is actually split into 5 separate, massive regional wholesalers. This structure provides the secret to SPAR UK's resilience. The brand is controlled by these regional wholesalers, often referred to as the 5 kings of the British convenience sector. These companies control the food supply for millions of people, holding the license to the SPAR brand in their specific territories. They build distribution centers, drive the lorries, manufacture food, and supply the thousands of independent retailers who own the shops. Understanding the specific strategies of these 5 giants reveals why the SPAR experience varies so drastically depending on where you are in the UK. James Hall & Co. controls the north of England, covering the territory from the Scottish borders down to Cheshire. Founded in Southport in 1863, the company predates the SPAR brand itself. Upon taking the SPAR license, James Hall evolved beyond simple logistics, becoming a manufacturing powerhouse. Walk into a SPAR in Preston or the Lake District, and you'll see sandwiches, cakes, and sausages produced directly by James Hall. This approach makes the northern SPARs some of the most profitable and resilient in the country, serving as outlets for a massive regional food factory rather than just convenience stores. AF Blakemore & Son controls the Midlands and Wales. As one of the largest privately owned family businesses in the UK, Blakemore has a history of aggressive innovation. For decades, they operated a massive cash and carry division where shopkeepers purchased stock in person. In 2018, the company made the strategic decision to sell its entire cash and carry division to focus exclusively on distribution and retail. They invested heavily in hot food counters, daily deli concepts, and partnerships with brands like Subway and Greggs. Unlike other wholesalers who primarily supply independent franchisees, Blakemore operates a massive estate of company-owned stores. These shops function as laboratories where the company tests new layouts, vegan ranges, and technology before rolling them out to their independent partners. A SPAR that resembles a high-end coffee shop is likely a Blakemore experiment in action. CJ Lang, based in Dundee, manages the SPAR license in Scotland. These guys succeed by tailoring its supply chain to the Scottish palate and geography. They source Scottish beef and promote national brands like Iron Brew and Tunnocks far more aggressively than their English counterparts. This reliance on Scottish produce is a calculated business strategy. In many remote communities, the SPAR serves as the only shop for 20 miles, acting as the post office, bank, and grocery store. CJ Lang ensures that locals can get what they need without driving an hour to a major supermarket. The Henderson Group controls the license in Northern Ireland, where their market dominance significantly exceeds the other four kings. In Northern Ireland, the SPAR functions more as a primary supermarket. Henderson aggressively expands the Eurospar format, building stores that rival Sainsbury's and Asda in size. They recognized that Northern Ireland has many medium-sized towns underserved by the big supermarkets and filled that gap with large format stores featuring butchers, fresh produce sections, and petrol forecourts. The Henderson Group is a billion-pound company that effectively blocks big UK chains from dominating the province. Appleby Westward manages the southwest, covering Cornwall, Devon, Dorset, and Bristol. This region presents a distinct challenge: extreme seasonality. A store in Newquay might serve a small local population in February, but face a tenfold increase in footfall during the tourist season. Appleby Westward has mastered elastic logistics to handle this. They ramp up operations during the summer months, effectively running a different scale of business for half the year. They also focus heavily on West Country produce, such as cider, clotted cream, and pasties, things that tourists will buy to take home. For 50 years, these 5 wholesalers and their network of SPAR shops thrived. However, the last decade has seen the entry of corporate giants into the convenience sector. Tesco and Co-op both took over some rival corner shop chains. SPAR responded by shifting the battlefield from price to margin. Recognizing they couldn't beat Tesco on the price of basic staples, they pivoted the business model to food for tonight. This shift represents a fundamental change in UK convenience culture. In the 1990s, customers visited SPAR for things like batteries or milk. Today, the focus is on dinner. The Five Kings invested millions into high-margin offerings. James Hall introduced cheeky coffee machines to compete with coffee chains, while stores introduced hot food counters and premium meal deals. The profit margin on a freshly made bacon sandwich and a latte significantly outperforms that of a tin of beans. By transforming their shops into mini takeaways, SPAR insulated its retailers from the price wars on basic groceries. Even if a competitor sells cheaper milk, the high demand for hot food protects the store's profitability. SPAR UK has remarkable resilience. It survived the arrival of supermarkets in the 1950s, the recessions of the 1970s, the entry of German discounters like Aldi and Lidl, and now withstands the cost of living crisis. The business creates a structure where the little guy wins by banding together. With a Dutch name and regional logistical firepower, these independent retailers continue to hold the line against the biggest corporations in the world. But what do you reckon? Is there a place for SPAR in the modern world, or would you much rather go to a Tesco Express? Let us know all that and more in the comments section below. We read every one of them. And if you like this video, don't forget to click the thumbs up and subscribe. Your support allows us to keep doing what we're doing. And as always guys, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.